Charissa, is it true that the paver sales is one of the, and installation is one of the fastest growing industries in the nation?
I believe so. It's growing exponentially. It's doubling every 5 to 7 years. So the growth is huge.
Let's talk about sales. You're always out there hitting it, hammering, getting in magazines, getting in films.
We approach our industry different than traditionally pavers have been represented. As you can see, we do a showroom so that a lot of our sales happens in here, as opposed to many of our competitions send a guy with pavers out to the field or out to see the landscape architect. We encourage you to come in here where we can show you our own work, our own pavers, multiple manufacturers at one time, multiple colors, multiple textures. And I think this leads you to be more creative with my product. We're going to make sure all the landscape architects know that we offer continuing education. We're going to make sure that all the pool contractors know what's available to them. So marketing and sales has been huge with our company.
What don't you think landscape architects know about this industry?
I think many of them know that the ICPI is available to them.
What is ICPI?
It's our Interlocking Concrete Pavement Institute, and it's at icpi.org, or if you just do a search on ICPI, you'll find it. There are technical specifications that will give you everything that you need as far as information, if you know what you're looking for. And then it helps to have someone like me that can summarize it for you and say, okay, here's where to go to know how much base that you need, or how much sand you need, or which paver is appropriate for which application. And that comes the more you work and interact with me, and the more you interact with the ICPI. And if you don't have someone like me that can help you with that, or you don't feel comfortable with, you can call the ICPI and they'll help point you in the right direction.
One of the biggest things people don't realize is that these pavers aren't really set up to be put on a concrete base. It truly is, except for the edge that binds everything in, it truly is a compacted sand and base type of construction methodology.
We have more load bearing than concrete. There is no need for a concrete sub-base in 99% applications. Not to say never, but in most applications. Our industry is promoting that the cost of pavers over the life of the hardscape is actually a better deal and more sustainable at a better cost than, let's say, asphalt.
Speaking about, well, asphalt, I'd imagine is about $3 to $4 a square. I'd say an average paver is probably $8 a square. Is that a fair?
In our market, and in a residential application. In residential streets, or in municipal streets, or in very large applications, obviously it's going to be very much less. And in different parts of the country, different paving installers have, this is not a product that comes from Mexico. This is a product that's usually locally manufactured under a controlled environment. So costs may vary throughout the country.
If you can get a natural or weathered look out of this, improved drainage capability, much more improved drainage capability. We bid quartzite, for instance, at 22 a square. You
Right.
take 22 versus 8, and your look isn't that much difference. It's pretty much of a deal.
You know, this is quite affordable when you're compared to stamped concrete, when you're compared to stonework, when you're compared to any of the alternatives. I mean, obviously not asphalt or gray concrete, but anything comparable. We're a great deal. It's a great product, and the choices are incredible. The creativity that you can have with this, you can get a contemporary look, you can get an old world look, you can go, you know, somewhere in between. There are many sizes and formats and components and textures and colors, and we're controlled because we're manufactured in a factory with better control of keeping that color consistent. And you know what you're going to get, especially when you're purchasing from a showroom like this where you can actually see the product. And that's something you have to be careful of. Sometimes those catalogs don't represent the colors accurately, so you really want to see your product.
To get to colored concrete, maybe a sandblasted finish, it's approaching $6.50 a square. But what defeats me with concrete is cracking. You don't have the cracking here because it's kind of inherent in the size of the unit itself.
We're a flexible paving system, so absolutely we're not going to crack. We're going to have some permeability. We're going to have some drainage. Oil dripped on the pavers, or somebody at a party spills red wine on the pavers. there's a good chance of cleaning it, and if not, you can pull the pavers out and replace them.
I work with a pot supplier, Gainey, Art Stone. It takes 6 to 8 weeks for a custom order. What's your turnaround time?
You know, that's another thing too, is what we've found is because pavers go in so easy, because when you put them in, this process is so quick and so fast. Let's say you're doing a remodel and you tear it out and you're putting pavers in. I can get pavers from my manufacturers in anywhere, you know, based on trucking. If I got a truck, I can get it from 3 days. Custom orders, they can make you something custom, your own color, your own aggregate, your own finish, and usually no more than 6 weeks. So from 3 days to 6 weeks, I can get the paver. And then when you look at the time, I can rip out a driveway and put in a new one, sometimes as fast as a week. And the minute my last guy rolls off the job, it doesn't have to cure, it doesn't have to set, they're ready to go. And that, I think that's really important in our industry, where we're the last trades on the jobs. People are anxious, they're ready to move in, so this is perfect.
I have a job and I'm using pavers extensively. I call you for the specs. What else happens?
I usually ask if you have a big job where you're doing, you know, the front entry of a country club, or you're doing a residential street, we're going to check that the soils engineer has verified the base requirements, and he's going to do compaction tests. Pavers are only as good as the ground they put it on. We're going to verify that the sub base underneath the pavers, it has adequate compaction, and that's how you ensure that you don't have failure. And then
Compaction is number one. And
compaction,
compaction, swimming pool,
compaction,
yeah.
Whatever it is, that's the most important thing.
Where do you see your industry headed?
I think that this is just huge. Like I said, in Europe, there is more pavers used than asphalt. It's easy to maintain. It's low cost to maintain. It holds up a good installation, and that's a big key. You really want to check and make sure that you're using, just like any other trade, this is not something that that everybody does. You want to use a certified installer. You can check that at icpi.org. Make sure that you use a good installer, and then I think this industry is huge. There's just unlimited potential. The manufacturers are developing new colors, new textures, new looks, all different kinds of architectural styles. We are developing continually. I have pavers over here that look like flagstone. I have pavers now that look like flagstone. I have pavers that are clean and crisp and contemporary, that look like real stone, that might look like travertine. I have pavers that look old world. I have a variety of colors, and we're all developing new looks. So it's an incredible industry.